I just didn't clap that time.
What's up,
He's trying to start, Darren. Damn it, man. Okay, third time's a charm.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Burnout Brighter podcast. My name is Matt. I'll be your host for this evening's festivities. I'm joined, as always, by Destiny.
Hey.
And Darren.
Hello.
If you're new to the podcast, this is a podcast that talks all about video games, mental health, and a bunch of other important topics that we think should be talked about. We talk about games, we talk about life, we talk about love and happiness. Those are some things we talk about on this podcast. This week on the podcast, which is episode 46, by the way, if I haven't mentioned that yet, we're going to be talking all about the sexual misconduct that is rampant across the video game industry, with a lot of allegations coming out against rampant across the Smash Bros. Communities, Ubisoft, a bunch of Twitch streamers. So we're going to be talking all about that for our main topic. But before we get to that, you can catch us on Spotify, Apple, Google, and all the major podcast subscribers. Please like, share, subscribe, tell everybody about this shit. Check out our YouTube channel, where Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time went up last week. It's great. The editing is fun. We enjoyed it, I think.
We did enjoy it.
We did.
Yeah. We had a good time, and it was laughs all around.
It was. Alistair messaged me because he has a very brief cameo at the beginning of the episode. And he's like, "You son of a bitch, you put me on a spaceship." And I'm like, I didn't put you on a spaceship.
NASA, obviously.
Santa put you on a spaceship. It was just my idea.
At first when I was watching it, I was like, who's the special guest? Like, I completely missed the rocket, and then I had to watch it again, and I was like, it's so fast. It's Alistair's face.
Yeah. He shows up with his famous classic troll face. I had to pick the worst picture of him I could find, so that's the one that went.
That's what friends are for.
I'm going to have to remain silent on this experience because I may or may not have seen this.
Did you not fucking watch it?
Darren,
you're literally not doing anything.
You're quarantined.
Lockdown. There's no excuse.
Yes.
Solid retort.
You better watch it.
I will. I'll watch it.
Okay, you better.
How can you ship our stuff and you don't even take part in watching it?
Take part.
Because I'm a present observer. I'm an active participant, and I can tell from the activity that's going on in my brain and hitting my senses that it feels wonderful.
Stop it. Stop. Okay.
All right, well, that's Darren's task for this upcoming week, is to fucking watch it. All right, we're going to start, as we always do, with a round of random questions. I'm going to start with Darren this week.
Woo,
oh,
yay.
my.
Darren, if you had to call a video game character to help you move, okay, and it has to be a character that has no experience moving and is generally unreliable, who would you pick and why?
Okay, so how do you define no experience moving? Do you mean no experience moving objects in general? Like picking up and putting them down places?
Maybe how we played that game where none of us had any experience in moving furniture and we all were just a clusterfuck of breaking things.
Which, if that sounds interesting, you should go check it up on our YouTube channel where we have a Let's Play of it.
What's that game called?
It's called Moving Out.
Woohoo!
Because I watched that one.
That's not important, okay?
So, I really want to say Donkey Kong. But...
What?
Because I think it would be fun, but I am also... I don't know why I really want to say it, but I know he'll break my things very badly. He lifts barrels all the time, and he's a big, strong boy, and he's gonna carry all my stuff really efficiently, but then he's gonna toss it and it's gonna shatter.
I feel like he if you told him not to toss it, he wouldn't toss it.
Because Donkey Kong's just a cool dude. And he just
I mean, yeah, he's really cool, but I just feel like if you were like, hey,
DK.
Kong,
Mr.
Be a
Kong.
buddy. Be a
don't
buddy.
throw my shit, he'd be like, all right, buddy.
Hey, Sir Kong.
Well, then yeah, and then I'm going with Donkey
Sir.
Kong, because like Donkey Kong's just like he's generally unreliable, and he just lifts big, heavy things all the time, and he'll have no
I
problem
also
placing
think
them.
that, like, if you were moving out of a place, you would 100% lose your security deposit. I think there'd be a bunch of, like, Donkey Kong-shaped holes through doorways.
So I'd pick him if I was
Probably.
leaving a place that I hated so much I'm willing to pay my security deposit, and maybe some damages.
Okay.
Okay, fine. I'll take it.
Other option
That
would
was-
be
that-
King Dedede, because he'll just swallow
Alright.
everything and spit it back out.
But, like,
Ew, but then you'd have saliva all over your shit.
Inexperience, or
I mean,
in his
like, I get it, inexperience, but you don't have to, like, have saliva all over
No,
it.
no, not unexperience. In my experience, from observing King Dedede spitting things out, they come out the same as they went in. And an undamaged capacity, as far as I could
Right.
tell, saliva-less.
So an experienced mover who just has a unique way of moving things.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a big castle, too. He probably moves... Well, he gets his servants to move things. That's fine.
Yeah, he
He'll
would,
get his
yeah.
Waddle Dees to move the stuff for me. King Dedede, I'm changing my option right now to King Dedede. He's better.
I also feel like if you're gonna pick Dedede, who's a known rapscallion, you could have picked, like, Kirby and had the same effect.
Yes, or Yoshi.
No, Kirby's going to just sleep on the job. Yoshi, he's probably a pretty good
First
choice,
of all, Kirby is not lazy, okay? He saves worlds.
By
I need
accident.
you to take that back.
Hey,
By accident.
Sakurai picked him in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate to be the lone survivor.
too. Yeah, because he's also one of the most powerful video game characters ever created. And it's, like, kind of uncomfortable how much power he has, but he does everything by accident or for selfish reasons because he wants, like, cake or something, and the cake just happens to be behind an evil
so
race
he's
of
like
aliens.
you, Darren.
Yeah, actually. No, that's pretty apt
Perfect.
description.
Yo, the amount of cake videos I've seen on the internet over the last couple of days has been obscene, with things that don't look like cake are actually cake.
Oh, yeah.
It's everywhere online right now. So, like, I also think that, like, if you picked Yoshi, it would be more fun though, because, like, he'd shit everything out in egg form, and you'd have to, like, bust it open and be like, "What's this gonna be? Shit, this is my bed. This
It's
is
like
the wrong place
opening
for this."
presents.
Well, I'm sorry. Did you ask yourself this question?
No, but, like, mine's a better
I mean,
answer.
like, can he not give suggestions? Damn, Darren.
No, I accept your answer of D, and I just think that, like, he would leave with all the Waddle Dees, and you'd be like, "Where's my stereo? Where's my stereo?" And D would be like walking down the street, bopping on that thing because he jacked your fucking stereo.
That's fair. I keep
He
picking
would
villains.
be bopping on it.
I keep picking villains to move my
Do you like
things.
my do you like my cool terminology?
Yeah.
For all these Gen Zers.
He would be bopping on it.
Yeah. All right, Destiny. I'm gonna ask you this question. I can't believe I've never asked you this before.
Okay.
All right.
Unless you have.
So, unless I have, which I mean is very possible
It's very
considering
possible.
the fucking holes in my memory that I have from doing this podcast. Destiny,
Yeah.
what would be your superpower? If you were going to be a superhero in a video game, what would be your superpower? So, like, I was thinking,
Storm powers.
Nice.
So, like, weather control?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
go on.
That was it.
Yeah, but why?
Storm
Because
powers,
Storm's
Matt.
fucking badass. Like, I've idolized her since I was a kid.
Uh-huh.
Because
But-
she was, like, the only black female superhero character.
But what about her powers, Destiny? I want to get to the powers at hand.
She
What would
can
you do
control
with
the
them?
weather. Oh, okay. Like, what would I do with it?
Yeah. Like let's say you go to work and, like, you wake up tomorrow and you're like, "Shit, I got storm powers." What would you do?
I would cause a typhoon.
Nice.
And we would all show up fucking soaked to work. 'Cause we
No,
all
it would
know.
be like a serious typhoon to where they're like, oh shit, this typhoon just came out of nowhere. We don't know what's going to happen. This has never happened before. Shut down everything.
well, you're gonna
like
cause some
that.
serious
I could
damages
also-
there.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have it like damage anything because I control it, right? So I'd just be like, just rain a lot.
So you just
Just
have
rain
like
only on the roads.
the
Yeah.
threat of high damages.
the threat. You know what? That's even better. I would just have it hover, right? right beside Busan. It would never actually hit Busan. It would just be like, they're like, why isn't the storm moving? Why? It's just like sitting right outside on the beach.
Or have it just like pouring torrential rain in like the square mile around our workplace.
Oh my god, yes. They would just, it would be like a curse.
I also feel like you'd be like, if there was somebody annoying you, you would just like cut off all the air around their head for about 30 seconds so that the A couldn't talk.
Oh my god, that
You know
would
what I mean?
be
There'd just be this
amazing. I would accidentally kill people.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, like I have ADHD and I would forget. And I'd be like, damn, why is such and such so quiet? Oh shit.
Such and such looks a little bit like bluer than normal.
But then you can use your
I
storm
wonder if they're
powers.
sad today.
But then you can use your storm powers to force air back into their lungs. It's like,
While
breathe,
also using
goddammit.
the
I don't know if I want to save them.
Well, you would also use your electricity
You
powers
know what happens
to like.
to a frog, right? When it gets struck by lightning?
Same thing that happens to everything else.
Same thing that happens to everything else. It's stupid line.
But like, you could also use like your lightning powers to like start their heart again. You know what I mean?
I could do that. I could, but like
The thing is,
probably the people that I want to shut up and that I forget about.
yeah, but like I also know you well enough that you'd be like, fuck, fine.
You already know some people I would like accidentally kill. I'm not a murderer. I'm just saying if I had powers, I would forget.
What was that? What was that question that you? So the question that Mick asked you, if you forgot every time you fart, or every time you fart you forgot?
Yeah.
Yeah, or something
along
like that.
those lines.
I think I wanted to fart and
When
not
you
forget.
So no, every time you
No, but
forgot,
you
you
all-
did fart because you said your memory was good.
I can't remember.
So like you'd be like, okay, air bubble around that guy's head, and then you'd forget, fart, they die, and then there would be A, an unpleasant smell, and B, somebody dead on the floor. And you'd have to be like, fuck.
Well, what if you?
All right.
What if you controlled your
Come
storm?
on.
That
save
would
you.
suck.
What if you controlled your storm powers?
Because you also have, but not all farts smell.
That's true. Some of them are just,
Sometimes they're just air.
I'm just picturing.
which you could control.
That's
Make a
true.
fart
I
tornado.
could.
That's what I was trying to say.
Sorry, buddy.
You stole my joke.
Okay, this is a weird question, and I'm gonna regret asking this.
All right.
Is this Matt's question?
Okay, like everybody. Yeah.
All right, that works. Damn it, Darren. I was gonna hold you.
It's
I was
a
gonna
really
make you answer
easy-
first.
It's a really easy question. Okay, have you ever like farted, and then like it smelled just like something you just ate?
Yeah.
Okay, that was it.
Yeah, sometimes it makes
that
me.
was the question.
Sometimes it makes me want to
because
eat that
I
thing
thought
again.
that was weird. But I guess that means your colon is really clean. I don't fucking know.
It makes you want to eat it again? Do you have like...
Ew, no.
Well,
Darren just said.
well,
He's so nasty.
well, it's just because like I'm like, oh man, that was a really good meal. Oh man, I
no,
smell that meal again.
I've never
I want that
fucking done
meal.
that. Like,
Can you imagine
13,
Darren sitting there and just be like, oh yeah, fish, where's more?
Ew. Oh god, no. Like I was 13 and I farted this one time. I had ravioli before it, like Chef Boyardee, and it smelled just like Chef Boyardee, and I was like, oh my god, like I freaked out.
And then you wanted
But
more
I didn't
Chef
want to
Boyardee.
eat more. No, I didn't. I knew that's what you were gonna do, and no, I didn't want to eat more Chef Boyardee.
If you
after
had
that.
Storm's powers, when you farted, could you take the fart and put that in someone's face?
You could, because you control the weather, so that would be part of the wind power.
But like, would you need like an open window in an office?
No, because there's air in the air in the room.
Darren, what do you think?
You could just make your own air by going like this and then being like, nobody saw
I
that.
wish everybody could see Destiny wildly flailing her arm to demonstrate how you can make your own wind.
That's how you make it.
Forget turning on a fan, but
You've got to like belly dance to control your powers so everyone knows you're doing something.
Now you're making it sexual, Darren.
Belly dancing is
Stop
not
fantasizing about me.
always. All right, fine. You caught me.
Destiny, you just made her do a spit take. She literally just like spat up on herself while drinking her beer.
I did not. And
It's right here. It's right here.
Okay. Sorry.
All right.
All right. Well, that's a good round of questions that we did together.
Mine wasn't even game related.
That's okay. And neither was somebody's question about shoes.
That's true.
Yeah.
I do remember that shoe question.
I broke the barrier to those questions a long time ago. I lowered
Yeah,
the
you
bar.
did.
Yeah, and you did that pretty early.
Yeah, it was like episode
I think it was
3 or
like
4 or
the
something.
third podcast.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was early days when you were like, "How do I clean my shoe?"
gotta clean my shoes.
Well, it was early days where my friend really needed to clean his shoes, and I needed to help
That's
him out.
true.
Everybody
Your friend.
knows it's you.
You know?
All right, cool. Well then, let's move on from talking about farts for the last 10 minutes.
This is gonna be a hard left turn.
Toilet humor.
This is gonna be a hard left turn into what's new. Darren, what's new? What have you been playing? What have you been up to?
Oh, good. I thought we were gonna.
Not watching our podcast or playthroughs. That's what he's been up to.
Well, because I've had a very important goal of finally finishing Persona 5.
And you did you do that?
And I did. I've played this goddamn game since April. End of April, I've been playing the same goddamn game.
No, end of March. It came out end of March.
Yeah,
so
but
you
I
would've
didn't start it
started
end of
beginning
March. I
April.
think I started it end of April. Or I think I started like really
Okay,
playing
regardless.
it. I think, anyways. Well, even if, yeah, beginning of March, mid-April, I mean, I finished the goddamn game. My final playtime,
Okay, what was your final? Yeah, what was your final playtime?
172 hours.
So then that means you got what, like almost 30 hours more than your original playtime?
Yes, I think it was
Because
more
you
than
finished
that.
out originally somewhere around 140.
Yeah, so I added like an extra 30 hours. I calculated how much time the extra content at the end added, and it added like, I think it was 25 hours. Because I had a save file before it started, a save file after it started, and it was like 25 hours of extra content. So my playtime ended up being about the same, but I ended up trying to do more. I was more of a completionist this time.
Right.
So, but it was...
And thoughts? What did you think?
Oh, I mean, I loved the game, but I definitely think it overstayed its welcome at about an hour 140. And
So when you originally finished?
when I originally finished, I'm like, okay, I'm done. Oh no, there's more. But I have to say, like, the new content that they added, I thought was, if you ignore the difficulty being way too easy, like, from a story perspective, like, some of the best content of the game. So, like, I enjoyed my time with it, and I think Matt and I were planning on having probably a podcast episode dedicated to just talking about the game.
Yeah, keep your eyes out for a spoiler cast in the next couple of weeks. Now that Darren's done, we can finally talk about it all. We're going to spoil the living shit out of it, so keep an eye out for that. It'll be an extra episode that we're going to post 1 week, and just be ready for that.
Yeah, but I want to, like, ultimately say that, like, I liked the game. I just am probably going to talk about a lot of things that I didn't like about the game in the podcast, because I always find that it's more interesting to talk about the things that I don't like.
Oh, Darren, we all know that that's what you're going to talk about.
Well, look out for a solo podcast where I just talk about it by myself right now.
But I loved it. I did love it. I mean, I wouldn't have played it for 170 hours if I didn't enjoy myself.
I don't know, Darren. You would.
I think you would too.
Hey, I stopped. I've stopped games before, like, halfway through and just been like, no, I'm not going to go back to these. So.
Oh, right? Like how, like, you just stopped watching all of our playthroughs? I see. That's cool.
I plead the fifth.
Sorry.
Have you started anything new, or what's on the horizon?
Yes. Sorry. Also, yeah, I think quarantine's
fucking
like
better be sorry.
rotted my brain. I finished quarantine like tomorrow. I also finished The Room VR, which was way too short for $40, but you know it was a great game. I loved it.
Mm-hmm. Was it difficult?
It was not until it was for like one level, and then it was just like there's one level that revolved around me like finding things in the room way too much, and it was like for some reason I had a mental block where it's like I didn't know that I was missing anything, and which doesn't normally happen to me in these games. This game specifically was much more I Spy than the mobile games, which I wasn't a big fan of. But
is that because of VR, you think?
I
Like,
think
it's their first time
yeah.
going at VR, that maybe they weren't not as creative, that's not the right way to put it, but like as,
Yeah,
you know,
because of the
interestingly put.
I think because of the fact that you're in VR and you're in these rooms, they wanted the puzzles to be more room scale, whereas despite the game being called The Room, they're usually more focused on puzzle boxes than the room itself. Whereas this game really was focused on the room because they want you like exploring. So the puzzles were less like solve this one ornate device and find objects in a room and like basically just kind of like put them places. But it was still fun. I enjoyed it. And then I started playing The Last of Us Remastered, and I'm already a third of the way through the game after one day.
Holy crap.
I actually am playing this game fast for once. So I just cranked it.
Darren, I'm so proud.
Well, thank you. Well, because I want to get to The Last of Us 2, but I really don't, like, I really want to compare the two games properly. So I'm replaying the first game, going to play the DLC as fast as I can, just playing on easy mode just to get the story. And then I'm going to play the second game the way I played the first game, which was hard mode, no listening mode, and play through that experience.
I'm really excited to talk to you about that when the time comes in about 6 months.
I'm excited to play it and be depressed for a very long time.
Nice.
Yep, that game is all anxiety. Destiny, what about you? What's new?
I got a new phone.
Hey!
Yeah, finally! The strobe party can finally stop.
I still use it though.
Of course you do.
Okay. You don't need the
For
screen
anybody
for the
unaware,
alarm.
Destiny's old phone was like on its deathbed. Like this thing was like you would close it like its case and it would be literally like having a flashing strobe party by itself. It was just it was time for it to be put to bed.
It was annoying to everyone.
You just see it in the corner of your eye, just like flashing.
Yeah, it was like it was possessed.
Yeah, seriously.
But I finally got a new one.
And how's the new phone?
It's a phone. I just hate spending so much money on phones.
Yeah, I get that. They are not cheap.
How much did you spend on it?
It was $572.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, but I only paid $472 because I had like $100.
But the crazy thing is that's cheap for a smartphone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's
no, because I looked and the top of the line ones were $1,000, but this one was like mid grade, and I was like, I'm not gonna pay $1,000 for a phone.
Yeah.
Like that's fucking stupid.
$1,000 at minimum, if not more.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna do that.
Phones are surprisingly expensive, and you only realize that when you're not paying for these like long contracts that make the phone like $0.
Yeah, I just bought my phone outright, but I think phones are more expensive now because they're like computers.
Yeah.
Like little mini computers.
Pretty much.
Basically.
But what have you been playing anything? What have you been up to?
No.
More Animal Crossing?
No, I've been playing Animal Crossing because I want to get all like the mermaid merch from Pascal, who's like my favorite now.
He's adorable.
Yeah. And like I played at 3 a.m. with my friend. Like she's up. She's done so much with her island and she just fucking started. Like she has like cliffs and shit, and I don't have any of that stuff. So I don't know. Like I think I'm getting bored, but like there's certain like they keep pulling me in with mini goals like, ooh, don't you want all this mermaid shit? And I'm like, yes, I want all that mermaid shit.
I'll go swimming
every day for hours at a time, pulling up fucking dillweeds and stuff.
Well, the mermaid stuff actually looks really nice.
Have you been playing?
No, I've been watching my mom play, and I saw some of her like mermaid stuff, and I'm like, I like the color. I like how it like changes in the light and everything.
Yeah, it's like iridescent.
Yeah,
it's
really
cool.
nice.
Have you been playing that?
Not really, honestly. Like I did it for the first couple days after the update came out, and then I fell off again.
I will go back to it in a year probably, where just like
a year.
Well,
as long as you watch the playthrough before you go back to it.
It will happen. It will happen.
I know you don't like watching yourself. That's why
I don't.
I'm like...
My face and my voice and my mannerisms.
I know all the
me.
things that are annoying, but you just have to watch it.
I don't need to know how annoying I am already.
No, because if you watch it, watch me, because then you could see my reaction to how annoying you are.
Okay, I'll do that.
There's just one point where I like want to slap the shit out of you.
Senna's editing has gotten pretty great, and this episode was pretty amusing.
All right, no, I'm excited. I'll watch it. I'm excited to see it. And just like I'll put just like a post-it note over top where I'm sitting or something like that.
Yeah, like when you're not doing anything because, you know, you're in quarantine. I know you're really busy and stuff. So.
There you go.
But Matt,
What's new with you?
what's new?
I have been playing more Trails of Cold Steel 3, and like I said, like this thing has sucked me in so much more than the first time around. I don't know what it is about just having it on handheld compared to playing it on the TV. Because like it's not the graphically the best looking game and stuff, but like they are ramping shit up right from the start this time. Usually those games are a bit more of a slow burn at the beginning, but they're completely like ramping it up, and like I like what they're doing with the characters because just how like everything's grown. It's super great, and like I was thinking about this today, and one of the biggest reasons that I like this game a lot, and like I know it has Persona elements with how like you can like spend time with people and you can romance people and that kind of stuff.
Or you can romance people?
Yeah,
I love games where you can romance people because my life lacks love.
I love you.
It's not the same.
I know. But like I was kind of thinking about how in Persona your kind of day like your life cycle like switches between days where all you're doing is in palaces. And today I was kind of like, wow, like it's been like some time since I've actually gone out to like hang out with people, but like I realized today that like those sections are pretty much the palace sections, but it was just something that hadn't dawned on me before. But it's really interesting because it's centered around this war and these like war atrocities and everything that's kind of going on behind the scenes. So it's just the way that it's structured kind of similarly. Well, you'll have a couple days of free time, and then you have like the main story stuff going on, and then some free time, but it's just they kind of replace the palaces with war and kind of with like this like going out to different areas and helping different people around the country, and it's super super interesting.
So you really like one kind of game that you just like to play forever.
It sounds just like Persona when
Pretty
you were
much.
explaining.
Yeah. No, I really really fucking enjoy this type of game.
What is this type of game called?
They're both JRPGs, but like they have life sim stuff thrown in.
It's called
like I don't know if there has like anything
anime garbage.
Damn, you just played it and said you liked it.
Darren's being kicked off the podcast.
Well, because I played Tales of like, is it Versailles?
Tales of
Versace.
Berseria? Versace? Whatever.
Vesperia.
And that's a JRPG.
Yeah, it's
but
just
there's
like,
no romancing in that.
No, JRPGs have like different like subgenres almost, and this is one more that has like life sim stuff thrown in. There we go.
What's your favorite part about it? I would say what I don't like is the dungeons. I find that super grindy.
That's my least favorite part of it too. I love the life sim aspect, but I do enjoy that side of it as well. But the stuff that really pulls me in is the stories and the characters with both series.
See,
Okay.
I
can see that.
I love the dungeons. The dungeons are like I was playing Persona skipping as much dialogue as I could just so I could do more dungeoning.
Really?
Yeah.
Darren, you're so boring. Damn.
No, like I like the characters too. I mean, they're cool, but like this actually makes me excited.
That sounded so fake. You're like, yeah, no, I like the characters. They're cool. But the dungeons.
I'm really excited to try Shin Megami Tensei 5 if that ever comes out, because that's less of a story. It's like the thing that inspired that Persona's a spin-off of this game, and this game is less focused on the story from what I can tell and more focused on like the dungeon element. And so
Yeah, the story is still very much present, but like because I played some of Shin Megami Tensei 4, but like it didn't grab me the same way, and I don't know if that's just because of the different setting and stuff. But I'm really curious to try 5 as well. The other thing that I've been playing is I started on Dishonored 2 actually.
oh wow! What made you want to play that game all of a sudden?
It's on Game Pass.
Right.
And I played the first Dishonored, and I actually did the pacifist run. I didn't kill anybody the entire game.
Nice.
Dishonor on you. Dishonor on your whole family. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah, so I played the first one on a pacifist run, and like that was back in university, and one of my roommates played it on just like killing whoever he could, and just like seeing how the game changes. So like if anybody is unaware, like Dishonored is like a stealth action game, where if you play on a pacifist run, so you can choke people out, like even like your assassination targets, there are ways to get rid of them
without killing them.
Didn't
you just play a game that was something similar to that? Like you could choose to kill them or not. Both of you played it. You played a game where like you could choose to kill them or you could play it peacefully. No, I'm lying. You didn't play a game. We were talking about Cyberpunk.
Yes.
Kidding. Keep going.
Yeah. That was our
yeah,
podcast episode about was it violence and people and the mind?
Oh, the one about where guys are violent for no apparent reason in video games that have nothing to do. Yeah.
So like, but it's funny because like, so I played the first one like as a pacifist run. My roommate played it and just killed whoever he wanted. And like, it's really cool as the game changes because your abilities change, and even like the final level gets insanely harder if you're killing people along the way. Because like the final level for me was like took place in like this like in this village kind of city town type thing. But like for me like, there were less enemies, the roads were cleaner, there was less, like, environmental problems, like rats and, like, bugs and shit. But his level was, like, dark and dour, and there was rats and bodies and corpses everywhere. Like, it was all kinds of fucked up.
Ew.
So I loved the first one, and, like, the second one for me when it came out was always, like, it came out at a time where I think I was just busy playing something else. So I was like, I'm going to play this one day. And after I finished Persona, I was kind of like, I want something to play until Ghost of Tsushima comes out, pretty much.
Which is tomorrow?
And
Today?
Which is in a couple days. Yeah, this week on Friday. But I was kind of like, and I looked it up on how long to beat, and it's apparently only about 20 to 25 hours, so it's not like it's a super huge commitment. But, yeah, and I didn't want anything open world. Like, I almost started Horizon, but I was like, I'm just about to go into an open world game with Ghosts.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hold off on Horizon basically until after I finish Ghost of Tsushima.
Me too.
Yeah. Hey, you can play Horizon, actually. It's on PC now. Or it's coming soon.
I just
Strong
feel
female
like...
protagonist.
Oh, okay. I definitely might.
My
but
mom played
I just
it.
feel like I try to play... Oh, what?
My mom played it too, and she said it's
Did she like
it's like
it?
one of her favorite games.
I can't wait to have your mom on the show.
Yeah, we have to get her on soon. It'll be a lot of fun.
She's asleep right now.
But I think... Like, you guys play so many big-name games. Like, I really try to stay away from them. I try to play, like, more weird games like, you know, Milkmaid of the Milky Way.
Is that a real game?
That name still gets me.
Yes.
She talked about it last week.
I talked about it. Where the...
Oh, no.
I talked...
With Mop 2
But
weeks
you know
ago.
what? If he listened to the podcast...
He did listen to that one, actually.
Oh, then he forgot.
I did.
He just forgot.
I listened, and I forgot.
Yeah, you actually did listen to that one. So with Dishonored 2, I'm only, like, 3 or hours in or so, and I kept hearing how good this fucking game was. And, like, the game gives you a cool choice at the beginning to play as the main character from the first one or his daughter, who's, like, the current queen. Ooh. And, like, the abilities change and everything. So I kind of looked up, like, who's the canon run, and everybody says go with the daughter. Like, it's her story, it's her game. So I went with her.
So why would they give you a choice if it's her game?
Because their characters actually change. So you can do a second run with the other character.
And his moves are different. His abilities are different and everything, too.
Yeah, your moves are different, your abilities are different, like, the way that the story plays out is a little bit different, so it actually does change.
Oh, okay.
So I started with the female main character, and, like, her, like, warp ability, like, the main character from the first game can, like, teleport. She has this, like, almost, like, Venom-like Spider-Man slingshot ability where she can, like, grab onto stuff.
Okay,
and,
don't
like,
tell me
lifts her
anymore,
forward.
because I want to play it.
Well, this is Dishonored. Not Horizon, not the one that came to PC.
Oh, okay.
But Dishonored is probably also on PC. Anyways, it's super great. It's really interesting because I'm trying to do the no-kill run again, and, like,
is it hard? Do you
yes.
just want to kill people?
Yes. Yeah, like, seriously.
It reminds me of Fable.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
similarly, where, like, your actions matter. So, like, there'll be, like, moments where, like, I'll grab someone and I'm like, I could stab him. And you get super cool abilities that, like, you can completely
You get
destroy
excited
enemies.
about stabbing them?
No, because then I have to just restrain myself. Or, like, for me, it's not about stabbing them. More as, like, I could throw them outside this window right now.
That's so interesting. That's what okay, so remember when we were talking the last time? That's why I said I think if people could get away with more shit, they would.
I think
Maybe.
you're right.
But, like, I wouldn't... But, like, for me, it's
See?
just...
Darren's already like, I would fuck some people up.
Yeah, it's really great. And, like, it's interesting because it's even stuff like... they actually give you a kill counter in the stats. Mm-hmm. I had to restart, like, for half an hour behind at one point because I didn't realize that I grabbed an enemy while another enemy was attacking me, and the other enemy that I wasn't holding killed him, and it counted that as a kill for me because I was holding him when he died. Oh. So I was like, no! So I had to reload a save because I was like, I'm committed to doing this.
You know how you were saying the world gets darker and more fucked up as you play? Is that, like... her view of the world, the character's view, is it like a psychosis, or
no,
is just the world literally gets really
it's the
shitty?
world reacting to it because there's like they'll be like, oh, there's this assassin that's running around killing everybody, so there'll be more guards out, and like there'll be like more.
So why are there a bunch of dead bodies out?
Well, because like when you kill them, they stay out. So like rats will come and like start
so
eating
those
the
are
corpses and
your
shit.
kills.
Yeah.
Well,
All those
so
bodies.
Yeah, at
Jesus, how
different
many
points. At different
bodies
points.
did that guy kill?
It's not just your bodies, because the other thing is like another thing in the game. There's like a very bad plague that affects the world of both games, and by you killing more, you're creating more food for the rats to spread more plague, so the plague gets worse by you killing more people.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I was like, are people like, now they're like, there's an assassin now. Are they just killing each other too, trying to figure out who the assassin is?
Yeah, it's super interesting. So I'm really liking it so far. I'm probably going to put it on hold for a bit, or like I might play it alongside Ghosts as kind of like a palate cleanser in between, because I'm super excited for that in a couple days. Reviews just came out. Sounds great. I'm stoked on it. And maybe Darren will play it next year.
Yeah, I know. I got a long list of things to do first, but I mean, it looks cool.
Yeah, I'm amped on it. All right, well, let's move over on to our main topic for this week. So I'm going to be pulling from a bunch of different sources here. I'll call them out as I switch. But in the last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of allegations and confirmations and a lot resignations. Wow, I kept that going with the Asians.
Asians. And you're married to an Asian.
Asian. Anyways, there's been a lot going on in the video game industry in the last couple of weeks. There has been a lot of people coming forward with stories of sexual abuse, sexual assault, and varying degrees of severity. And there's a lot of people that are coming under
fire.
Coming under fire right now because of things that they've done. So we're going to start with Ubisoft. It will be our starting point. And I'm going to start with an article that comes from Forbes, which is written by... Give me just a second. Joe Parlock. So go give him a click, because his article, he's been updating it as things have happened, and it's really, really well written and well put together. I'll be pulling out random paragraphs. I'm going to start at the top here. Maxime Belland, VP of Editorial, and Tommy Francois, VP of Editorial and Creative Services, are both said to be on leave following accusations made against them. Both of them have been accused by people contacting streamer Denny Von Doom and narrative designer Meghna Jayanth with their stories, who have been lending their platform to those who wish to remain anonymous. Belland has been alleged, among other things, of choking a woman after he became drunk and enraged. Francois has been accused of pressuring female juniors into sex in front of his employees, as well as claims he would frequently try to touch female colleagues and kiss people on the lips. It is also claimed that Francois was actually moved away from the Paris studio as a result of alleged predatory behavior. And I'm going to go on here because there are some other cases here as well. Beyond the allegations against Assassin's Creed creative director Ashraf Ismail, other Ubisoft employees have been accused of harassment, abuse, and even assault. So what happened with Ashraf Ismail was he was accused of infidelity in his marriage, but the problem that came from it was that he was abusing his position of power and telling people that he wasn't married and basically tricking people into sleeping with him, from what it sounds like, which are some of these allegations. And then it came out online, and he got blasted for it. You know, rightfully so. So he stepped down, and Ubisoft has now hired on a third-party HR consultancy firm to come in, and a managing company to come in and basically clean house a little bit and to try and replace the roles. There is another person here. Give me just one more second.
Well, what were the two names you just said?
I said Ashraf Ismail, Maxime Belland, and Tommy Francois.
Okay, those are the three.
Because those are three of the people at the top.
No, there's another person.
Their jobs were like. Can we say what their jobs were?
Yeah.
So like, Belland was a editorial vice president.
Yep.
Francois was vice president of the editorial and creative services.
Yep.
So they both stepped down.
Yes.
And one of the things that they wanted to look at is that they were part of an all-white male editorial team, and the company has now pledged to revise that, like bring in females, bring in more people of color as well. And I guess my thing is that I'm disgusted with, like, they really thought it was okay to treat people like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I wonder how long it's been going on.
So very quickly, I'm just going to add on to
Sorry,
it. Sorry, Darren.
I want a really quick question.
Ahead.
Real quick. It's still pretty early for me today, so I think I just missed that. What company is this for again?
Ubisoft.
Oh, this is for Ubisoft still. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is for Ubi. And that, yeah, this is all, right now, this is all Ubisoft. This is all coming from one company, which, granted, Ubisoft is massive, but there's actually Ubisoft's chief creative officer, Sergei Haskoet, has also resigned because of sexual allegations. The global head of HR, Cecile Cornet, stepped down. Evidently, there were stories of things actually going up the HR pipeline and then nothing ever happening with them. So she is also stepping down, in quotes. She believes that stepping down is the best interest for the company's unity. I guess people are also upset with her or the HR department for not taking action when things were actually reported.
Yeah.
They basically were just kind of buried. And there are.
I wanted to say, Cards Against Humanity was subject to a Polygon investigation in its toxic workplace, and it resulted in one of its co-founders stepping down.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and and this is just what's been made public in the last couple of days so far. Like this latest story just came out 3 days ago. So there's more investigations going on because a lot of the people who came forward decided to remain anonymous, and it was a couple people. I'm gonna pull their names. Twitch streamer Denny Von Doom and narrative designer Megna Jayant, who are posting a lot of these stories on behalf of the people who were who decided to stay anonymous. So there could be more coming.
Oh, there will be.
That we just don't know about yet.
Yeah.
Essentially, Destiny, what I want to start with you is, why do you think the video game industry seems to be, and I'm sure it's happening everywhere else, but why do you think, especially after Me Too happened in the last couple of years, it seems like the video game industry, it's starting to have its kind of Me Too moment now. Why do you think it's coming so much later compared to when everything was happening in the last couple of years? Like, why do you think it took this long for it to start coming out?
Well, I wanted to read something that Naomi Clark said. She's a game designer and scholar with the NYU Game Center, and she basically said it's part of this history of being an outsider, of something that people don't take seriously. And I think it's because people don't take the gaming industry seriously, other than people who are in the gaming industry and people who play games.
Right.
So I think that's why it took a while to get that up there. Plus, the gaming community is known to be very
toxic,
misogynistic,
racist,
sexist, all of these things. Like, this is not new.
No.
I think the thing is that you have people who are like that, who also don't see a problem with the people in the industry being like that, because they're like that too.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I also wanted to, I know we talked about it briefly, but we ended up cutting it. But also the issues that came up with the creator of Night in the Woods, right? And we decided, I thought we should have talked about it, but we decided to cut it because he ended up, unfortunately, taking his life. But still, I think a lot of people don't, like, the fact that he ended up taking his life and we're like, we should cut it because he took his life, doesn't take away from the fact that he did those things.
Yeah,
you
part of the reason that we decided to cut it is just we also were missing information when we talked about it.
Yes,
so,
I know.
So our conversation,
but we never brought it back up.
Yeah, we didn't go back to it, which
Yeah.
you're right. Yeah.
So, I just think that a lot of people in the gaming industry and in the gaming community are men, right? And they're the most vocal, and they're the most, well, they're the ones who are doing it, right? And so they kind of overshadow females who are, oh, you're just being sensitive, da-da-da. Because if you've ever played like an online game that's like Halo or some of like PUBG or some of like
an online shooter,
those are like some of the worst
communities.
And the sad thing is a lot of the people in that community are young, and they're getting it from older generations,
right?
You know, so it's just like this terrible cycle. And I think a lot of people have been making complaints, but because it's a male dominated industry, and there are not enough big female names saying anything, it just got brushed under the rug.
Right.
So I think that's the difference between the movie industry and the game industry, right? Because you had these like female actresses coming out and saying something, and they have a bigger platform than any like female gamer or female creator has.
Especially if it's a developer who works in a massive company who has hundreds of people working for them, right?
Yes.
And they're one voice. All right, so Darren, like what I wanted to ask you is like, why do you think men in this industry, and not to say that it's only this one, but like here, why do you think men feel so entitled to have control over this industry in a way that like why, like I just, something that I kind of struggle with is that like this idea that like when women say they play games, a lot of the things that they kind of get thrown back at is like, oh, fake gamer girl. Like, why does that narrative still exist in a time when gaming is bigger than it's ever been, but people decide to still be fucking pissed about other people playing?
I think it goes towards the history and maybe the age of the men in the industry, where you have this industry that's built by historically a long time ago, games were marketed towards pretty much exclusively young male audience. Like, advertising was almost directly to them, being like, this is for you, this isn't for girls, this is for men, this is a boys thing,
this is a cool guy thing. Yeah.
And then so you have these men that are raised on these games, raised on this feeling, this feeling of being like persecuted for maybe liking something that other people thought was maybe uncool, and then they go into this industry and they start making these games, and then now that they're bigger, they want that exclusivity. They want that thing where it's like, this is my thing, I don't want anybody else to have this thing. They have this idea that they were persecuted before and that these other people don't appreciate it as much as them. And then they start getting toxic because of this false feeling that they're being persecuted.
Right, and this thing that was theirs, quote unquote, is now being like encroached on by others.
Yeah, taken away from them.
I don't agree.
Why? What do you think, dude?
I don't think a majority of men feel like it's being, like, especially now, I don't feel like they think women are taking anything away from them. I don't even think that was a majority. I think that these people are...
No, I don't necessarily think it's a majority either. I think it's just like that it's kind of how it started, and that is what's created the culture that maybe is like unconscious now. I
don't agree. I think this is something that's been an underlying issue through all walks of life. I don't think that that's one thing that, like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that these are beliefs and ideas that certain men have always had about women, and they go into these different careers, and it keeps happening.
It perpetuates.
It perpetuates. I don't think it was like that one single. I mean, if you look at the history of how men have treated women, the fact that in some countries women still weren't able to vote until like the 1970s,
or how still in some countries around the world women can't drive without a man in the car.
Yes,
this
this goes way deeper than just, this is our thing and we don't want you encroaching on it. That's how I feel.
I think that's definitely part of it, Darren, because I think you're right that like you do have some people, like especially like you have some people online who are using that as an excuse. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like I think they're kind of they're saying that like, oh, this fake gamer girl, like girls don't play video games, like get out of our space, because that is something that I see thrown around online a lot.
I mean, that's what I'm referring to, and that's the question that you were asking.
No, I know. Yeah.
Was about, because like if you're going on Twitch or something like that, and you're seeing that kind of toxic response, like I completely agree with you, Destiny, that the actual like history of sexual harassment is much, much deeper than what I talked about.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you wouldn't see it in other industries.
Right.
You have the same thing happening in every single industry.
Well, the Me Too movement and Time's Up movement.
Yeah, exactly. But for some reason in the film industry, I see a much larger willingness to support victims and believe victims, and less of like maybe like a knee-jerk reaction to be like, let's brush it under the rug from the general consumer.
I feel like the reason, like I said before, I feel the reason why it's like that is because the actresses have a bigger face in the community than a female game creator. Like, most people who know about female game creators are also creators or gamers, right? Mm-hmm. They're not really talked about. They're not really seen. But you fucking go see a blockbuster film and the main female character is like, this guy fucking raped me. More people are going to take notice of that because it has a wider audience.
Mm-hmm. Well, because you see in the game industry, like, from at least from visiting places online, like, people don't even want to discuss those topics and have them anywhere near video games. You see tons of people being like, keep politics out of my video games. I just want mindless entertainment. And that doesn't seem to be an issue for the film industry.
But who are these people like saying it? Is it the white male saying it, or is it the females who are getting harassed? Okay, so that's...
Yeah.
You know, that's my point. Like...
I think you guys are making the same point here.
Yeah.
I think we're I think
in the same spot. You guys are in the same spot.
Different places.
Yeah, you guys are in the same spot. You're just kind of circling around each other. Because the thing is, it's like, well, Destiny, you're basically saying like it's much more systemic, right? Like it's as a whole. This thing isn't unique to the video game industry.
Right.
While Darren's kind of, I think, just more talking about coming from the perspective of like a gamer who's toxic by nature in this space. You know what I mean? Mm. And I think it's just, I think you guys are at the same point. And the thing is that like, this isn't unique to Ubisoft. And while like it is good that I think that they're actually trying to do something about it, the thing that feels very strange to me is that like they had their whole I think they called it Ubisoft Connect
Forward.
Ubisoft Forward. Thank you.
Ubisoft Forward.
They had their whole massive digital event just a few days ago, and it was, this event was going on just a few days after all of the allegations came out and everything was happening. And it's a digital-only event that they're doing essentially in place of E3 because there's no E3 this year. They're having this event to talk about the games that they have coming up. And they addressed the fact that they weren't going to address it at the event. It's an all-digital event, meaning that everything's pre-recorded, everything's ready to go. And they basically put out a statement, and I'm not sure if it was right before or right after, basically saying, like, we're working on it, but, like, we're not going to bring it up, basically. And this kind of, this response to me, like, they basically used the reasoning that, like, everything's already pre-recorded, like, we didn't have time to put anything together. Which I think is just a complete load of bullshit, because the thing is, it's like, they could have easily 12 hours before, and there were people online being like, this is bullshit, because, like, people who have worked in these kind of live events have put together things in the last fucking minute. So they could have easily made a video that was even just a few minutes long with Yves Guillemot, the leader of Ubisoft, like I think he's the CEO, basically saying like, we're aware of everything that's going on and this is our commitment, or anything would have been better than nothing at all.
Do you know how I feel? I feel the reason why they didn't do it is because people at the top are also probably guilty of the same thing. Mm-hmm. That's really how I feel about it. Okay. I feel like if they really wanted to make a change, they would have made a change. They would have said something. But again, like, this industry, and I hate to say it, but it is a majority white males, and a majority of white males with money do some fucking sick shit. And it's like they're buddies. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They're fucking buddies.
They perpetuate the culture, right?
Yes.
Like, that's what it is.
If they really wanted to stop it, you're right. They had enough time. They could have done it. They could have actually just physically spoke about it, had somebody come on. Like, their excuses are bullshit. They're bullshit. And that's because they feel like getting rid of a few people is a big show of that, oh, we're actually behind everything, right? But I think a lot of them who are at the top are probably guilty of some of the same shit. I'm not saying all of them.
Right.
But I'm saying, like, this company obviously doesn't just have 3 or 2 people who are fucking guilty of sexual harassment.
And I think for me, this reeks of them trying to sweep it, not sweep it under the rug, but, like, I feel like the amount of people that were tuning in for this event is far more than the people who would have read this article online. Yeah. So you know what I mean? I feel like it would have been thrown in people's faces a lot more if there was this in the actual event, which is why they didn't do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. They're definitely trying to brush it under the rug as much as possible.
They are.
And I agree with you, Destiny. And especially because, like, you can even see it in some of the tweets that were coming out when it was first reporting on it, like, specifically for Surge. One of the things that he was quoted on doing is he'd block women in the elevator and put himself against them and make groaning sounds. And some people, like some of his collaborators who saw it, started to do the same thing.
Yeah, because they see
thought
that
it
he
was
can
acceptable.
get away with it,
Yeah.
so then they do it.
Yeah.
It's such a fucked up environment. You know what I mean? It's so terrible.
Yeah.
And the thing is that, like, they're not sorry. The fact that these 3 people resigned and weren't fucking fired says a lot to me.
Yeah. And the thing that blows me away was that Francois, like I said, it's a claim that he was moved away from the Paris studio because of predatory behavior. So this was a known thing. Like this was going on at one of their studios, and he was moved away from there to essentially be like, oh well.
Bruh, the same thing happened with what's his name, Lancaster. The same thing happened with the guy at Pixar. When he resigned, he moved to another Lasseter.
Yeah.
He moved to a company, an animation company in like South America or something. I'm not sure. I know where the location is, but I know he moved. The thing is that they're all fucking doing it, okay? They're the people at the top, and I'm not going to say every one of them, but they're all doing it. So I'll bring up this this like little side thing about Korean culture, okay? So the thing is that they have these things called haeshiks, right? And it's a business thing.
Those?
Women are not allowed to go. It's like a thing where they take their
It's a work
male
party.
employees.
It's like a work party.
Yeah, it's like a work party. And they take their male employees and they like go drinking and stuff. And I'm only telling you this because I know for sure I dated a guy and he told me about this. And so like their boss will like purchase them a prostitute or a female, right? And they don't consider it cheating or anything like that. They consider it like business. And it's actually bad if the worker's like, no, I don't want to do it, because he could get fired.
Yeah.
So it's like this bro culture. Like, well, I have to do, even if you didn't want to do it, you have to do it, right?
Yeah.
You feel pressured to do it. So now there's this idea that like, okay, the boss is doing it and he's looking at me. So if I want to keep my job, I need to do it too.
Right.
And now that you're doing it too, you're under the same fucking, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like,
Well,
you're
it
just as guilty.
Well, it just creates a pattern then, because when the next new guy comes in and he sees you doing it and the boss doing it, again, it just the cycle perpetuates.
But now they're all guilty of it, right? And you can't fire
all of them.
Yeah. It's and this is also like a big issue with the HR department as well. And I was looking into a lot of stuff about the history of HR and people having too much faith in HR, because in every single company where this has been an issue, and I guarantee most companies have these issues, the HR department does nothing to actually solve the problem.
Well, it's because their hands are tied.
Well, it's also because the HR department is predominantly there to protect the company, not you.
Yes.
Right? Like, and that's
Exactly.
and that's like this. It's this idea that the HR department is supposed to be there to protect you as an employee,
But
which
that's
at
not
times, sure, it does. But like the vast majority of issues, it's there to make sure that the company doesn't lose face or the company isn't affected, not that the employee is the one that's suffering.
But even so, the HR's payroll is what
Exactly.
who's paying them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So unless somebody's willing to go above and beyond, which means they'll probably get fucking fired. Like, you know, things like that don't really, like, they don't play out well for the person who's actually filing the complaint.
Yeah, there's an article from The Atlantic by Caitlin Flanagan where she went to an HR panel just shortly after the Me Too movement, and she interviewed a bunch of HR people because, I mean, Harvey Weinstein's company had HR. All these companies with people with executives that have been causing sexual harassment, they have HR, and they field tons of complaints from of higher ups committing sexual assault and sexual harassment, and all of it, they say, pretty much anything to do with anybody that has a position higher than them just gets taken away from them.
Yeah.
And they can't do anything about it because the company would rather support this individual that's higher up than actually do anything about the real problem.
Yeah, it's
because
all
they're worried about their bottom line.
Exactly.
Being replaceable. It's easier to replace people at the bottom than it is to replace people at the top. That's part of it. And I also wanted to say that not all haeshiks are like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there. Just some companies are like that. But I wanted to say something else that Naomi Campbell Clark said, because she works within the industry. But she said a lot of the game industry here in this country has come out of people's garages and bedrooms, and it's not even being taken as seriously as other types of software development. It's strange. It's scrappy. All of the outsiderness fostered this culture. We don't have to play by the rules. We're not a regular office. The boss's door is always open. We don't wear suits. It's informal. And she's like, and it's basically a lie. Like, it's a front. Because it still runs like a business, but because they're so quote-unquote casual, they have this idea that they can get away with certain things that they shouldn't be able to get away with. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, part of the issue, too, is that, like, in looking at video game development as a whole, issues with crunch, issues with how developers work, you won't find the same kind of conditions in a lot of other industries. There will be echoes of some of it, of course, right? But the problem is that because it's still so young, and like there's this unwillingness for it to change in any fundamental way, that these issues persist. Now, hopefully, because like, you know, in situations like this, it's kind of the default response to be like, nothing's going to change. Hopefully it does. Like, while, you know, Ubisoft is bringing in like a third-party company to restructure their HR, right? They are taking steps to kind of hopefully make some sort of lasting change. I mean, look what happened with Riot Games a few years ago. They had a whole fucking outpour of sexual assault allegations in this incredibly toxic workplace culture, and they're one of the biggest names in game development right now.
But remember we talked about that, and I said, like, I think the reason why it did get a lot of play is because a male was the one who like helped point out what was going on. Because like in a lot, I don't know if you guys know this, but in a lot of businesses where like men are the forefront and females are not, like what they say does get swept under the rug. So I think a lot of that is because a guy stepped in and he was like, I'm glad that people like Twitch gamers are using their platform for it, because like this has been going on for like a really long time. And I think women's complaints just get swept under the rug. Oh, you're on your period. Oh, you're being emotional.
They fall on
blah,
deaf
blah, blah,
ears.
blah, blah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it takes men, white men specifically, to help us change
what's going on
within the game industry, because as you said before, that's who they focused their marketing to. So a lot of it is white male players, and they're the ones who, like, I think they still really kind of market to, honestly. So I think it's going to take them to step up and say, hey, this is fucking wrong, blah, blah, blah. It's not just us, because women have been talking about sexual harassments in companies and the workplace for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
So it's really going to take, like, well, not hundreds of years.
No, but your point stands.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I brought Riot up is because, like, this happened a few years ago, and there were, like, follow-up pieces done by, like, respectable reporters in the years after that basically said, like, they've gotten quite a bit better. Like, they've taken steps, and, like, people are now much happier there across the board. So hopefully Ubisoft kind of follows step and creates a better environment for people working there.
I'm nervous because Ubisoft is much bigger than Riot Games.
Yes, Ubisoft's huge, and like they have development studios all over the world, right? I mean,
and I also wonder about like how the cultures are in certain areas, like if they feel they can get away with certain things because the culture for how women are treated in those areas is different than in other places. You know what I mean? So I wonder.
And I think that's actually.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Darren.
No, you go first.
I was just going to say, like, I wonder if that has a part to play in it, too. Like, okay, maybe here, and the companies here, they won't do that shit. But then if they go to, like, some other country where women don't have as much say or aren't allowed to speak up as much, if they continue that predatory, you know...
Behavior.
Yeah, and I think this is what I was trying to get at with my original point about, like, toxic gamer culture, is that I think a lot of, if we want to make a change, I think a lot of the change is going to have to also come from the consumer community,
Yes.
like the people that play games,
The people that buy games.
because
People that buy games,
and
yeah.
people that buy games, because gamer culture and like the gaming community, I think, is quite young compared to other industries. Like the demographics are quite young, and you have a lot of impressionable young people playing games. And if we want to see real change, we have to demand it publicly, and our communities have to become more accepting to be able to demand change, because the only way that Ubisoft or bigger companies with these issues are ever going to change is through pressure. Riot Games changed because of pressure and because of good journalism, but because of public outrage. Public outrage does actually get things done.
So I have a
And-
question for both of you.
Mhm.
So, like, with games like Grand Theft Auto, which actually the characters can treat the female characters in the game like really shitty, like sexist, misogynistic, all of those things. Like, what do you think about that? Like, I know a lot of people might be like, oh, you can't do that, like that's part of Grand Theft Auto, it's so important. But then again, there are a lot of games that don't do that and are still amazing games and treat their female counterpart with respect. So I'm like, if we're creating games that kind of coddle that culture, like how, you know, I just want to know what your thoughts are on that.
Darren, you want to start?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I do think that's an issue. Like, I do genuinely believe that consuming a game and consuming any kind of media can actually have a negative effect on your impression of things. I mean, like, art is used to help us, like, shape our view of the world. And I think that can have a negative impact on what somebody believes about things. And I do think that Grand Theft Auto, like games like Grand Theft Auto, I mean, maybe this is a controversial opinion, but I do think that they have some kind of responsibility, possibly. I mean, like, obviously, it's hard to say because I know it's their game and it's their art, but I personally do think that they do have some kind of responsibility to represent things. And I know I have heard from people in the communities before suggest it, and I would love for this to happen, is if they had, because Grand Theft Auto 5 had 3 playable characters and all of them were men and 2 of them were white men. So I would love for a Grand Theft Auto game to have a female main character, to see how they perceive the world and see how the world affects them, like, more directly. Because Grand Theft Auto tries to praise itself on being like a satire of the world. And
I just don't know how.
I think that they could do a better job on that front.
I just don't know how it lands in this day and age anymore.
What do you mean?
Like how, like what Darren's saying, like GTA has always been like, it's like you said, it's meant to be like a satire on the world and how it is. But the problem is that, like, I don't think that works.
Oh, I never thought it was a satire. It was never funny to me.
No, I know,
You know?
but that's what I mean. But that was there when
that was their intention.
that was their intention,
Right, but they didn't do anything funny in it.
No,
like,
they
it's,
didn't.
It's not a satire. Like, it's like they watched a bunch of movies like Boys in the Hood and shit, and then based a game on it.
Yeah.
And those movies are not satirical at all. The thing that I think that they did, when they did Bully, that was satirical. That was funny, and it wasn't so much looking at... I know it's possible because they made Bully.
Yeah, that they have it in them, kind of thing.
I know that they could do it without looking at women as complete objects and like over sexualizing them. I don't like GTA because it's geared towards men. It's geared towards like an angry version, and they just seem like angry in the game.
GTA, for me, I've never been big on GTA. Like, I've never played one for more than a handful of hours. So for me, it's just tough because I just don't know how much they do with it. But, like, from the outside looking in, it's easy to see that, like, I wonder why GTA specifically, because I don't, like, I was trying to think, Darren, while you were talking, of another game that kind of perpetuates these same ideas in such a blatant way. And I can't think of one that kind of fits the same kind of mold. And I haven't thought about it until you brought it up right now, Destiny, which is why I was trying to think about while you were talking, Darren. And, like, you have these characters, and like like you said, there's never been a female protagonist in any sort of GTA, and I'd be curious to see how much of the game they would change dependent on a female protagonist, if they would at all. And like, I think just the way that like, even even one of the mechanics, at least the older GTAs, I don't know if it's still in 5, but like you could hook up with a sex worker or a stripper or whatever, right? And then like it would be a whole thing, and then people would kill them immediately after to get their money back. And again, like I was trying to think of another situation where like in these open world games where this kind of thing is a mechanic, because that's essentially what it is. If it's there for you to be able to do it, then the intent was there. Somebody said, it'd be funny. Let's kill the hooker. You know what I mean?
What's scary about that? Like, because we're talking about sexual harassment and rape, it is like a known thing that when sex workers go to the police about sexual harassment or anything, that they're not taken seriously. This is so bad that like a lot of sex workers have been murdered over time and their cases have never been looked into. And I think the idea that that's in a game that
that is one of the most popular games in the market, period.
Yes,
it's so
that young kids play, young males play. That's fucking terrifying. Yeah. Not saying that they're going to go out and do it, but the fact that they do it in the game,
the fact that you can do it,
and that they do it, it's like,
because I can't think of another game that does that. Even with an open world, like with an open world setting where you're able to go around, drive anything, kill anyone.
Like, that's why I specifically said GTA.
Yeah, which is why I'd never really thought about it until you brought it up. Yeah. And that's just because I don't consume it. I just don't play it.
I think the biggest problem with GTA is because they have as the games have come out, the newer games have tried harder to make themselves be seen as like, what's the word? More
inclusive?
Yeah, more inclusive, but also more just like,
serious,
I want to say important, but more serious. Like Grand Theft Auto. Like, the biggest problem is there's such a big disconnect now between the stories in the games and what you actually do in the games. Because the stories are where they have the satirical elements. The actual story of Grand Theft Auto 5 is supposed to be a satirical look at Hollywood and the American dream, and the fourth game is like a foreigner's perspective of being a foreigner and coming to America and trying to live the American dream. And so their stories are maybe getting better, but it doesn't change the underlying gameplay of what you actually are doing.
But also, like,
and I think that's the biggest issue.
I think even more than that is like, you have the ability to do anything, and GTA has always been known for the game where, like, let's fuck shit up, let's blow things up, let's kill random passerbys, more so than I think any other open world game. So I think the thing that you're seeing online, you're seeing those things. You're not seeing, like you're saying, Darren, the story bits of it, if that is meant to be more quote unquote grown up now than it was before. Because like, if you had told me that like GTA 5 had a more developed and important, let's say, story than GTA 4 or 3 or whatever, I would have never known it. You know what I mean?
That's the problem. That's the problem, right? It's like I think that's a huge issue with that game, that franchise.
Well, as
is it doesn't really matter
online,
how much. Yeah.
I think that's when a lot of it just got way out of hand.
Yeah.
And their community is really fucking toxic. Like, it's really bad.
Have you played any Grand Theft Auto Online?
Yes. My friend had it. So, like, I jumped on it because, like, he played it a lot. So he let me, because I had heard about it, and I was like, can you really do all this stuff in the game? And he's like, yeah, da-da-da-da. So I jumped on it, and it was just insane. Like, you're there, and people are just already just ready to insult you because they can tell you've never played before, right? Because you're, like, trying to figure stuff out, and they're already attacking you.
Yeah, I've never played GTA Online, but yeah, I believe it. Like, that game seems to be, it's massive in its own right. I don't know. So in regards to Ubisoft, I hope that there is genuine change coming, and I hope they really do take this to heart as one of the video game industry's biggest publishers and developers. I hope that they do change. And
I hope that
Can I say something really quick? I just wanted to say that there's a delay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You stopped talking, I think, later for her, Darren, which is why she stopped.
Oh.
So, like, you stopped talking for me, and then I think, like, 3 seconds later you stopped talking for her, so she was waiting for you to finish.
Oh.
And there was just this thing of, like, you were looking at me, and I was looking at her, and she was looking at me, and I'm like, why isn't anybody talking now?
Because I was talking in my ear.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, I'm going to say this name wrong, but Sarkeesian,
Anita Sarkeesian.
Anita
Yes.
Sarkeesian, yeah.
He's launching a game.
She, yeah.
Sorry. I'm all like confused now. She's launching a games and online harassment hotline. Like they're in the midst of doing it, and it's a free text-based service designed to provide emotional support or referrals to those in need, which I think is amazing. So I just wanted to like bring that up. If any of our like listeners have ever felt harassed or anything like that, they should definitely look into it. The more people we have reporting this sort of thing, I guess, like, I don't know what I was trying to say.
Hopefully it creates more positive change.
Yeah.
Darren, what were you going to say before?
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, I want to say first that's amazing. I didn't know that existed, and I'm happy it does, because that's something that should exist. We have hotlines for other kinds of situations, and gaming harassment is so prevalent that it makes sense to have something like that. So good for her. And what I was going to say is that my biggest hope is that the community at large stays angry and stays upset about these situations, because if Ubisoft doing things like saying, oh, sorry, we just didn't have time to do something, to like talk about it. Anyways, here, enjoy this preview of games guilt-free. If they can do that, and if they can be successful and actually brush that under the rug, then we've lost, kind of thing.
Yeah. And I just hope that, like, the people who are actually playing these games, and especially the men, like, if you're online and you hear something going on, or if you hear racist terminology, ableist terminology, fucking, like, the amount of people that still use the word retard in that kind of, you know, negative, well, in any sort of, there's no fucking proper way to use that, like, grow the fuck up. Mm-hmm. Like, there's so many ways, and if your buddy's saying it online and somebody's calling somebody out, fucking step in and say something, right? Like, it's going to take people calling other people out and being like, what you're doing is fucking wrong for anything to actually change. And, like, that's not and report players for that. And I hope the gaming companies that are actually making these games
take the report seriously.
Yeah, like, I hope fucking start banning people for doing this kind of shit, because just because it perpetuates doesn't mean that it's okay.
I know that in games they've started, like, blocking out things, like when you type, like, certain, you know, but
people will find ways around that, and that's
do.
frustrating, right? Like, people will use numbers instead of letters and shit to send the same message. But, like, stand up for each other, fucking, you know, be a good person online. Like, it's really not fucking hard. And, like, for me, it's just, like, it goes by even, like, it's the simple thing of, like, if you have nothing nice to say, just don't say anything at all. Like, just shut the fuck up and let people enjoy what they're going to enjoy. We mentioned this at the top of the show, but I think we should have our Smash Bros. Sexual misconduct conversation another time. I don't want to rush through it just to kind of, you know, I want to treat it properly. So we're going to save that for a future episode. But if anybody's curious, because there's a lot going on in that community as well, Kotaku has a really, really good article by Ian Walker called Over 50 Sexual Misconduct Allegations Have the Super Smash Bros. Community in Turmoil. Go check that out, because Destiny, like what you were saying before with, I forgot the person that you were referencing in the first few times that you spoke. It was a female person in the industry. I just can't remember what her name was.
Hold on, and I'll go back to it.
Well, while you're searching, I'd like to take the time to also say that, like, our heart goes out to all the victims that are coming forward about these allegations, because that's one of the hardest things that you could do, and especially in this industry, to come out with these kinds of allegations. People's, I think, first instinct is to not believe the victim, which is terrible. And I think that,
Naomi Clark.
Like, thank you. Yeah, thank you for being brave enough to try and say these things to make some change.
Yeah, for real. And of course, and please, like, if you don't feel comfortable, you know, speaking about it, don't feel pressured to, but please do speak to someone if there is something going on, because these kinds of things, if left unchecked, will cause a lot of damage as time goes on. And so Destiny, like you were saying, sorry, the name again?
Naomi Clark.
Naomi Clark. In a similar vein, I want to just touch on one quick thing from the Smash article here. In this article, this quote reads, "I can't speak for every community, but I know that in Smash there was never a voice to speak up and air out the truth." Community artist Jacqueline Jisoo Choi told Kotaku while discussing her own allegations against retired competitor Gonzalo Zero Barrios. So kind of like you were saying, Destiny, this kind of space where people feel like they have nowhere to go to talk about these things and that they can't speak up about it. It seems like there was a lot going on in the Smash community and in the industry at large, but please reach out and talk to someone. And the more people that we have come forward, hopefully these stories will go down in in quantity as the year goes on, and we can make an industry that and a hobby that we obviously care a lot about become a much safer place for everyone to enjoy, rather than it just being a fucking boys club, because it's bullshit.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
We're gonna touch on just a couple pieces of news here because I want to know what both of you think about the Lego NES. This comes from Wesley Yin Pool over at Eurogamer. Wesley writes, "Lego has made its NES console set official, and it's given a UK price of £209.99. That's something like $300 American dollars. The 2646 piece set will launch on August 1st and is available to pre-order now. The set includes the NES console and a gamepad and an NES cartridge for Super Mario Bros. And a retro TV where you can see the game being played. There's even a little handle you can crank to scroll the on-screen level." This looks super cool, but also, holy shit, is it expensive? Darren, did you see this?
I did. I watched a trailer for it the other day.
Are you gonna buy it?
And no. No.
Like, no.
I would love to have something like that, but not for $300. Someone pointed out that it's the same price as the actual NES and a copy of Super Mario Bros. When that originally came out.
Holy shit, really?
Yeah, but I'm not surprised it costs that much. Lego's expensive, man. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I wanted this little Mastermind Lego set that was R2-D2. It was just like a little R2-D2 that was the size of maybe, and this is going to be a weird unit of measurement, the size of 2 Alexas. Because it's kind of Alexa shaped. I don't know. That was the first thing that came to my mind. It's just like this, the size of 2 Alexas, and you could like program it to move around and stuff. And that was like $350, and it was like half the pieces of a normal Lego set. I think it's just because it came with like the little brain, but like this has some electronics built into it too, or maybe built into the, I don't know if, like, it's got mechanics. And then you can plug your Lego Mario in and make sound effects and stuff like that. Like, it's cool, but like, man, like, don't be shocked about the price. Lego's been charging an arm and a leg for generations.
Yeah, I think it looks super cute, but like, this is one of those things that like,
it just seems kind of gimmicky to me.
Yeah. Well, that's all that they're gonna do with it, right? So like,
welcome to Lego.
Yeah, for the people out there who are stoked about it, like it looks super cute. Like it looks like it's well made. I'm sure it's gonna be fun to put together. But good lord, is that ever expensive? The other quick things that we're gonna touch on: Superhot have announced a sequel. If you pick up the original game, you can actually get the sequel for free. So go do that. I loved the shit out of that game, specifically on VR. And Nintendo has announced that, coming to Nintendo Switch Online, Donkey Kong Country, Natsume Championship Wrestling, and The Immortal. So if you want to go check those out, go ahead.
I have a question about Superhot.
Yeah.
Is the Superhot control? Was it control?
Control Delete.
Mind Control Delete. Is that coming to PS4, or is that, or is it consoles, or is it just PC only?
It's consoles and PC, but like, and you'll get a
and
copy.
the console versions get it free as well.
Yes,
or just
if you
the PC
buy it
version,
if you buy it before launch,
or if you've already purchased it.
Or if you've already purchased it, exactly.
Okay, cool.
There's also, like, Ubisoft did have their event. If you're curious about any Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, and Watch Dogs news, go look up the trailers. I don't want to get into it any more than that, but a lot of devs did put in a lot of work into those games, so if you are curious, go check them out. And that brings us to the end of our show. Boy. Thank you guys so much for listening. We really, really appreciate it. Guys, we have episode 50 coming up soon.
Oh my god,
Oh,
what are we
yeah.
gonna do
We're
for
like-
episode 50?
I wonder what we're gonna
have
do
no
for
clue.
episode 50.
I think I'm gonna take a break. I might skip that one.
You might sit that one out.
I might sit
think
that one out.
you should, and possibly go watch something that you haven't watched yet.
I think I should leave, and then I think Darren, maybe you should just never come back.
No, Darren, it would be weird without you.
It would be weird without
It
you.
would. He's like laughing.
start-
I'm dead ass serious.
Oh, I thought you were saying that like how I say things disingenuously.
No, I
You're like
was
trying to make fun of me, like,
Darren,
oh yeah,
It
Darren.
would be
It
so
would
we
so
really
weird
care
if you
about you.
laughed.
It would
Oh
be
my
so
gosh. Like we
sad.
wouldn't be able to go on without you.
Yeah. Can you picture that? Like, can you picture an episode without you? Wow. Like,
That
that's
would
an
suck.
interesting
I
thought.
mean, like, no, we've had episodes without him. And they were fine. Like, moving forward, we always want you here, you know?
Thank you, guys. I
Of course.
appreciate it.
Darren, is there anything left that you want to say before we close out the show completely?
I just want to say that I want
The look on your face, I don't know where the fuck you're going with this.
I just want to say thank you to Destiny for your points when we were discussing that issue, because it's a really hard issue to talk about, and it's an issue that like affects disproportionately women in the industry, and I want to make it clear that I agree with everything you said, and if there was at any point where it sounded like I disagreed,
No.
I genuinely agreed with you.
I know.
You guys have this really funny tendency to argue the same point, and neither one of you realizes you're talking about the same fucking thing.
Because we're saying different words.
Yeah.
We say different words, but we mean the same thing.
I'd be terrified for the day that I ask like one of you a question and you both start speaking at the same time in the same words. Like,
It's
this
not going to
fucking,
happen. That's
this,
like your dream.
This like hive. No, that I'd be terrified.
Oh.
The podcast would be like 20 minutes long. Of this like hive mind response of like, this is what we think about the issue. We both have the same feelings about this problem.
No.
So like, thank you for providing your perspective. It's very important.
Thank you.
And everything you said, I think was right. And thank you for calling it out.
Guys,
Welcome
Darren
to
sounds very scared right now. He's in like a completely different country. I can't even reach across the table anymore.
what that would never stop you.
It would never.
Welcome to the Destiny's Always Right podcast. Destiny, what about you? Anything left that you want to say?
I just want to thank you guys for like being open and listening, you know, because I'm very used to people shutting me down, or just because we have different opinions, them being like, you're wrong, and like not willing to listen to what I have to say. Or, you know, and you know what? Thank you for women everywhere for using the platform
Yes.
to talk about it, because you didn't have to.
Yeah.
So my
Yeah.
battery's dying.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm done. That was it. Love
All right.
you.
Well, again, I hope to see more positive and meaningful change. And to all the men out there specifically, please speak up, act out, and be there, and believe people who come forward with these stories. Because the amount of people that are like, but they made my favorite... Fuck you, okay?
Yeah, it could be your sister, your female cousin, your aunt, your mom, like, your daughter.
Like, it doesn't...
Like, it shouldn't even have to go
That's
to
what I
that,
mean. Like, it
but
should...
the fact... Yeah.
Just being a good fucking person doesn't take a lot. Just be there for people. And just be a good person. If somebody sucks shit online, who gives a shit? Have fun
And
with them.
no means no, motherfuckers.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. So...
Yeah.
That brings us to the end of the show. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please like, subscribe, share, tell everybody about it. We appreciate all the support all the time. We have some exciting guests coming up in the next little while.
We do have an exciting guest.
Episode 50 is coming up real soon. We're going to have a new episode of BOB Games coming up in a little bit as well. Also, I'm going to start streaming in the next little bit, so look out on our channels.
Yeah,
for
he didn't even tell us about it. He's
for an
going to
official-
stream
What?
without us.
Yeah, I'm gonna start.
Exactly. He fucking told me this like yesterday, so I'm going to stream. I'm like, so you weren't going to tell nobody?
Well, I just haven't set it up exactly yet. I'm obviously going to tell you guys.
Oh, see, Darren, you didn't know either?
I knew he was going to play around with some equipment, but I didn't know exactly when he was going to start streaming and what he was going to start streaming.
The podcast
and
is
who
over.
he was going to be streaming with.
Canceling it.
Yeah.
This is weird when you guys team up on me. I don't like this.
But yeah, and we'll have the new animation up.
Yep.
So you could put that in front of the stream, and I think
It
we'll
looks
all start
great.
streaming at some point.
Yeah, we're all gonna do it together for
Yeah.
sure. We're gonna
Yeah.
have group streams as well. So
Yeah.
keep an eye out. We got a bunch of cool shit coming. So tell everybody we want all the people eyes on us only because we're cool.
Cool.
Cool. Thank you so much once again, Darren. Say bye.
Bye.
Destiny. Say
You're
bye.
so creepy. Oh my god. Bye.
We'll catch you all next week. Peace out.
Deuces. Okay.
So we just need to like.